All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura MacDonald, and I am the Director of Professional Learning here at NCEA. Thank you for joining us for our summer webinar series. These are all sessions that were inspired by some of our top sessions at NCEA 2023, and we're pleased to have our guest speakers in this series. This class is More Math Workshop, and I'm pleased, and it's not More Math Workshop. Just making sure you were paying attention, so don't leave. Oh my goodness. This is 10 ways to bring the faith to life in the elementary classroom. Annie, did I scare you there for a moment?
A little bit, but I will plug the math workshop. I attended in person, and it was my favorite session of the whole conference. So I highly recommend that one because I think she's next.
She is next. Yeah, and somehow my page just went down to the next one at the end of the end. So there's a plug. If you have questions during this presentation, you will find the Q&A box at the bottom. We're going to use that like chat, so you could put your questions or comments there, and Annie and I will be monitoring that during the session. So keep your eye there. Also, at the end of the session, there is going to be an online survey link. I'll put it in the chat box. You'll click on that. Please fill out the survey. We do share this information with all our speakers, and we read them very carefully as well. And it really helps us to prepare for your next sessions and make sure that we're serving you and giving you what you need. I will share that at the end. The other great part of that is if you complete it, you will receive a certificate of completion. So you'll have evidence that you were here with us today for this class, not the next class, this one. So Annie, I think I better pass it over to you before I give any more wrong information to our guests.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and walk you through everything. I'm so grateful for all of you to be here today, and I'm looking forward to sharing what's worked in my classroom with all of you.
And as you pull up that screen, I will lead us in prayer. So go ahead and join us in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. O Christ, our teacher, we thank you for the gift of Catholic schools, where the message of your life, death, and resurrection is proclaimed, discipleship is modeled, worship of you is cultivated, and community is experienced. Increase our zeal for ensuring that all children and families can benefit from an authentic Catholic education, and that Catholic schools grow in their ability to nurture the souls and form the minds of its students for generations to come. We ask this through the intercession of Our Lady, Mother of Catholic Schools. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
All right. I think this should be working. I hope so, and I hope that everyone can hear me. So today I'm going to be talking about 10 ways to bring the faith to life in your elementary classroom. This is just, if you want it, you can just write on a regular piece of paper if you want, but if you want to grab any handouts, you can use this QR code if you have a printer nearby. Otherwise, it's at the bit.ly NCEA 23 summer. And it'll have some handouts that go along with the presentation. And these will be all at the end as well if you want to come back and rewatch it with the handouts. So, all right, so today, a little outline. I'm going to do a little introduction, talk about some goals, and then we're going to go through a couple different tips. We'll have a little teeny bit of work time and then ways that we can connect. So when I initially did this at NCEA in Dallas, I did it as like a workshop style. So I'm kind of condensing it a little bit. So you'll have a little bit of time to kind of brainstorm and figure out how this will actually work for your students in your school. So a quick introduction. I am a 4th grade teacher at St. Andrew's School, which is in Chicago, right near Wrigley Field. I'm a religion coordinator. It's kind of an unofficial title that I hold there, but I help plan Liturgies, I work with some teachers on sacramental prep. I lead prayer services and kind of just help with all things religion at my school. I'm a graduate of the University of Dayton in Ohio and Loyola Chicago. I'm a National Geographic certified educator, love using the outdoors in my classroom. A big role in my life is that I was the 2017 Iditarod teacher on the trail. So I spent all of 2017 working here in Chicago, but I spent a lot of time up in Alaska as well, and got to go down the trail using a bush plane, and got to spend 2 weeks out on the race trail during the race, which was really awesome, and creating lessons for teachers. I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan. I love running and hiking, and I could not talk about myself without talking about my dog Tipperary and my husband Mark. So my husband Mark there, he's also a Catholic school teacher at a high school here, and then that's our dog Tipperary, or Tipper, and he is actually works for the Catholic schools as well. He is a therapy dog at my husband's school. So all three of us work for the Catholic schools, and it's definitely a part of who we are. So that's just a little bit about myself. All right. So how do you make the faith come to life for your students? I feel like we do that through connections with our community, connections through our daily encounters with the stories of our faith, the way that we relate to people, through the saints, through the Bible. There's so many different ways that we can connect our faith to our students. And so the goals of today are going to be that you leave today ready to use some activities and lessons for your students. Like, you've got the plan, you're ready to go. I hope that you feel inspired to deepen the faith with your students, and I hope that you have fun and learn something new. So tip number 1 is to get a children's Bible. And so one Bible, this is in my eyes, the Bible to use if you are a K-5 teacher. And it is the Catholic Children's Bible from St. Mary's Press. I came across it at, where was I? Galena, Illinois. I was there at one of the stores, and they had it there. And I didn't know it existed, and I have probably been using it for 10, 11 years and absolutely love it. I'll show you some features of it in a moment, but they also have Breakthrough, which is the middle school Bible, and they have the Catholic Youth Bible, which when I ran a youth group, I used, and that's geared towards high school students. So they do have a couple different versions. And I think more recently, they also have the Children's Bible in Spanish version. So they have a lot of different options, but if you don't have this Bible, I highly, highly recommend it. And I'll talk through a little bit why I recommend it. Okay, so it breaks down tons of different stories. It has an understand section, a live it section, and a retelling it section. And they also have stickers, so if that you use it with like your own children or something, they have like stickers in the back that you can put in as you complete each one. But it's very visual for students as well, but still gives the full Bible. It's like they're not missing, some children's Bibles I feel only have certain stories where this is the full story of everything. It has maps in it to show students exactly where everything is and what was happening in the different stories, and where they're located. Bible passages for special times. I use this quite often, just looking for, how to relate to my kids and pulling a Bible passage for them. This makes it really easy. No need to go to the internet, just go straight to the Bible. And a timeline of the Bible as well. So lots of different features. Sometimes I have kids that just go over and grab the Bible during our silent reading time just to flip through those back pages, where it's very visual and they can learn something new. So that is the first tip. Grab yourself the Catholic Children's Bible from St. Mary's Press. Tip number 2 is books and the Bible. And one of my favorite things to do is connect picture books to the Bible. And I found that it's made Bible stories a lot more relatable for kids. And I had the opportunity to lead my students in prayer services for the last, 6 to 7 years. And when I first started them, I really struggled with connecting with the kids and getting them to understand the Bible passages and whatnot. But the first time that I used a book, it was like, it changed how I did the prayer services. And I don't use a book every single time I do them. And sometimes some of these suggestions I've just used in my classroom, but it's really changed. So I'm going to go through a few of them that I've done, and then I have a few others that I'll just share with you. So I'll start with the book Be You. And it's by Peter Reynolds. So I try to pick books that are kind of mainstream and connect them back to the Bible. And so this particular one, I had students pick a word from here, and then they, so there's different, like, be persistent. I don't know if you can see me in the book right here, but, and then I had students, there's tons of different words, and we talked about, as children of God, we're all called to love one another and to share ourselves with those around us. And how can we do that? And what word can you pick that you want to, kind of be that year? And so when I did this one when we were just back from COVID, and so all the kids picked a word and they decorated a little index card, and we put it in front of their desk. And then when you went past a classroom, you could see all the words, and a teacher could stop by and be like, oh, like, how are you using that word to spread the kingdom of God? And so it was just a really cool connection, because every student in our school, K-8, had a word on their desk. So it was a nice school-wide connection that we had made. And I see some questions. I'll repeat where the St. Mary's Press Bibles are, what those are. The Bibles that I looked at. So, all right, so that is Be You. And then the next one is, you could see I like Peter Reynolds things. I Am One, okay, and this is all about taking action. And in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells everyone to, tells the disciples to make disciples of all nations. And how do we do that? And how do we spread goodness? And so I use this one during Catholic Schools Week to kind of promote that idea that, we're doing these awesome things at our school, but how do we go out and promote that out in our communities and our neighborhoods? And what act can those kids do that start small and makes a big difference? So that is I Am One. And then this one's probably one of my favorites. The thank you letter. If you're looking for a great activity to do around Thanksgiving, this is it. In the gospel, the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus could have just left, and he could have said, I'm going to go by myself and take a breather. But instead he sat down, he gave thanks to God the Father, and shared a meal with everyone. And the first thing that he did is he gave thanks. He didn't, just start eating or whatever. And so, or walk away. And so that act of gratitude that he gave to us as an example is a great connection to the thank you letter, in which this little girl writes tons of thank you letters, and then everyone writes her one back. But it's a great way to connect that story to the picture book. And then I had all my kids write thank you letters to someone in their life that they delivered around Thanksgiving. So this one, I know it seems a long way off, but a great one to use during the month of November. And then I have a few others that I don't know that you'll be able to see. And I share my email at the end. So if you have other questions or want me to repeat anything, I know my picture is probably gonna be really small because you might not be able to see me, but 10 Beautiful Things is a great book to use with the kids. I had my students and this is where we're at. These are the end of the year prayer service things for my own kids. But I had them write down 10 beautiful things that they did during the summer, and then they returned it the next school year. This was the end of last school year, I think. At the end of this school year, we used Noticing, which is a book about noticing the good in everybody. And so we paired this book with all the teachers wrote a little note to their students saying one thing that they noticed about them this year, and they all opened them at our prayer service for the end of the year, which was a really powerful activity that we did. So Noticing, it's a newer book, I think just came out a couple months ago. And then another Peter Reynolds, Our Table, is another great one to use, again, around Thanksgiving. And then I also love Change Things is another one that I've used with my students. So there's a lot of different options and, different ways you can connect the picture books to what you're doing in your classroom. I'm going to give you guys at the end, you'll get a couple of pages that look kind of like this, like the slides here where it has the Bible verse and then a how to use it type of thing for your kids. So you'll get that at the end. So picture books in the Bible, it doesn't just have to be for little kids. I use these, kindergarten through 8th grade at my school. So, yeah. All right. Tip number 3 is talking about service projects and how to make them work for your students. So I love doing service projects that kind of push my students outside of their comfort zone a little bit. So ways times you can do service projects: Advent, Easter, Lent. Catholic Schools Week is when my kiddos always do one. You can do them in school, they can be out of school. And so there's a couple different options that you can have for doing service projects. So here, these are some of my kiddos doing, or at Feed My Starving Children, which there's a couple sites in different cities. I'm pretty sure Minnesota has one, Arizona, and there might be a few other states that have them. Illinois has them. And so that's a really great opportunity. We paired up, the 4th graders go with the 8th graders for this every year during Catholic Schools Week. Again, Feed My Starving Children. And then on the other side here, we have an Advent service project that my kids did. This was as part of our Christmas party that we had on the last day or second to last day of school. We made lunches for those that are experiencing homelessness, and each student left with a little brown bag lunch and that they had decorated, and their families gave it to, found someone and gave it to them, which December in Chicago can be really rough. So we were hoping to spread a little bit of joy around Christmas time by doing that. And we just asked parents to donate different things, water and chips, and they made sandwiches. So that was a really, really powerful activity that the kids got to do. And then I have a bunch of just different ideas for you just to get your thinking about service projects and what you can do with your kids. So Feed My Starving Children, Cradles to Crayons. I think there's a couple different locations. Maybe going to a local food pantry. One that I've done a couple times with my kids is volunteering for Special Olympics. You can make hygiene kits or lunches. You can do a park, beach, or river cleanup. One that I have not done yet, but one of my students introduced me to is something called Love Our Elders. And it's where each month there's a couple elderly people that are put on this website, and it sounds weird, and then you can write cards to them and have your kids, and then these elderly people get a bunch of cards from different people just to cheer them up. You could do a pajama drive or a toy drive or visit a nursing home, which I don't know if nursing homes are all open to visitors yet, but those are a bunch of different ideas. And then different things you can connect to when, like teaching topics. You could do a project when you're doing Beatitudes or spiritual or corporal works of mercy. You do God's creation and connect it to Earth Day, Grandparents' Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Lent or Easter, Advent, Christmas. You can make connections to the saints and their feast days, vocations. There's just a ton of different ideas or ways that you can connect this service to what you're doing in your classroom. And so we're going to pause just a moment, and it'll give me a second to look at our Q&As that we have there. So I would just love for you guys to take a moment and think about a service project that you could do with your kids, or maybe there's one that you already do with your students, and just throw it. I think we would just put it in the Q&A and just let everyone know. We can share it out, and then I'll go through a few of those. So just take a moment and think about what is a service project that you do with your kids, or you could do with your kids, maybe inspired by some of the things that you saw just now. So I'm going to mute for a moment and check these Q&As. All right, these are some good ones. Diaper and formula drive. Awesome. Collect pennies as a school. That's a great one. We do a penny challenge at my school. And so we have all the different, each class competes against each other, and pennies are positive and quarters and stuff are negative. It's really fun. We do it during Catholic Schools Week and competitive week. But I think this year we raised like $4,000 off of it. So definitely penny challenge, penny drives are awesome. Sock and mitten drive, bringing non-perishable items to mass. Color a smile. I don't know that one. I'm going to write that one down. World Water Day. Awesome. Oh my gosh, a baby shower for Jesus. How cute is that? I love that. Awesome. Socktober. Very clever. Blessing bags, blankets. You guys, these are all fantastic. I love this. Very cool. Well, thank you all for sharing. Those are all awesome ways that you can be of service with your students. Awesome. All righty. Okay, so we just shared. We're going to move on a little bit. Okay, so another way that I love to integrate the faith into my classroom is just through my Catholic decor in my classroom. So I have spent a lot of time trying to be really intentional about how I'm decorating my classroom. And so, you know, my calendar, my alphabet, classroom jobs, I'm changing a board seasonally to go with the liturgical season by having statues in there. We have a statue of Mary and St. Joseph along with the cross. In my classroom, I have a little prayer corner where I have my Bible and I have my board. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of these, but these are just different ways to inspire some of the things that you might want in your classroom. Oh, I also start every day with morning slides that are simple, but they have a little cross on there, and then I have the saint of the day. And let me tell you, there were a few times this year I forgot saint of the day, and those fourth graders let me know, and they looked it up themselves and then made me put it up there. So they loved just seeing who the saint was each day. So it's something so simple, but love having my day start with this on the board for my kids. But I tie my jobs to the saints. I make sure that I have all the Catholic holidays up on my calendar. I've created a Catholic alphabet, and I'm actually you guys will get a Catholic alphabet as well at the end, one that I created so you can use that in your classroom. But this is a bulletin board one of the ones that I've used for the Saints, but just love switching it out every month. This is my prayer corner in my classroom. And you can see this was during Lent. And so we have some Lent stuff up, and we have our gratitude stone, which was from another prayer service that we did. I forget the book, but, and something so little, when COVID hit, I created something that said, this is on our hand sanitizer, and it says, St. Luke, pray for us. St. Luke is the patron saint of doctors. And so that was something super little, but, you know, every time I encouraged every time my kids took a pump of the hand sanitizer, just to say, St. Luke, pray for us. So just different ways that you can incorporate our faith into your classroom decor. So
Annie, Courtney is wondering if you also have a cursive alphabet.
Yes. Yep. I'm pretty sure that one is in the file as well. So. And
then Veronica is wondering about your morning slides. She would love to use some of those.
If you send, that is not in there, but if you send me an email, I'll send my school emails at the end, and I can share those with you. So
thank you.
No problem. All right. The next thing I love to do is to teach with the saints. And so I do a saint of the month with my kids. And let me tell you, this year I did, as I do every year, Saint Valentine for February. And I had kids that did not know that Valentine's Day came from Saint Valentine. So we really dove deep into there. So just really interesting to see, you know, like what's mainstream culture, but they don't know that it's connected to our faith. So that was a really fun one to do with them. But I do a saint of the month, and I try to tie it to what we're doing, like what relates to my students. And I'll talk about that in a moment. I don't want to get ahead of myself. You could also do a class patron saint, where at the beginning of the year, you can have your kids nominate who they think should be your class patron saint and why, and then you can vote as a class on that. And then you can also just celebrate the big saint feast days. Like I said, my kids didn't even know Saint Valentine was connected to Valentine's Day. So Mother Teresa is the one that we start with. So these are the ones that I use, and some are random, and some are very specific, and we use them for a reason. So I use St. Elizabeth Ann Seton because the Catholic Schools Week is always in January, and her feast day is the 4th of January. And so we kind of learn about her throughout the month. And then it's nice to kick off Catholic Schools Week with by having learned about her. We do St. Blaise because we get our throats blessed. St. Patrick, I know it seems really just basic, but my parish was founded as an Irish immigrant parish. And so St. Patrick is very important to our school. And then some of the others, our patron saint is St. Andrew. And so that one's a big one. So these are just the ones that I use in my class. But I definitely encourage you to find ones that would work for your students and ones that would connect to them. So actually, this year I'm probably going to change one of them up to be looking at saints or people of faith that are from Chicago, and start incorporating some of our more local ones this upcoming year. So that is my plan, to maybe switch one or two of them up. So yeah, all right. And we're gonna move on there. Okay. Okay, so another thing I do with my students is prayer partners. And what I do with prayer partners, and it started from, we use Loyola Press materials. And so it started with me taking a prompt from there, whether it was just from the regular curriculum or the art print, or their Growing with God program that we also use. And so I would grab a question from there, I'd put it up on the board, and I'd have my students pair up with someone and go through like this whole process of prayer, and what does that look like. And so they'd start, by listing people that they were grateful for, something they were grateful for that day, who they wanted to pray for. Then they would go through the question and they talk about it with each other. And then they say an Our Father, and then they wrap up with the sign of the cross. And so I play quiet music, they work around the room. And it's just a really powerful way for kids, you know, my kids are 9 and 10, for them to share their faith with one another. And so instead of having it on the board now, I keep mine all in a little container, and then the kids pick different ones throughout throughout the year. And then I have some that are geared more towards Lent and Advent. And I switch up the prayer partners usually once a trimester so that they're able to build relationships with one another. And so they're going to be with 3 different people. I will preface, if you try prayer partners, it's so important to really look at what kids you're putting together. Because as teachers, we know that not everyone belongs to be working together, even if we're trying to be faith-filled. And so just be mindful of who you're putting together in a group. And at the beginning of the year, and every time we switch partners, I always talk about it being a safe space for conversation. So I never want a student to feel out of place in our prayer partners. And so I, say if you don't really like who your partner is, or you're not getting along, let me know. But I also say if someone is talking about hurting someone or hurting themselves, that's when you need to come tell an adult. So I mingle around during it. Sometimes I'll pop in and join a group during it. But I also like to be respectful of them building relationships with one another. So, and the picture that we have here is actually of prayer partners in March from 2 of my kiddos. They were super into it. And I think the picture just shows how powerful this activity can be. So the easiest way to get started with prayer partners is look at your own curriculum and find prompts that will work for your kids and pop them up on your smartboard or write it on your whiteboard for all the kids to do. I do have 8 different prompts that I've used with my kids that I'm sharing with you guys. Just to give you guys a head start. I know the beginning of the year can be crazy, so I thought I'd give you guys a few that I've used at the end as well, so you can dive right in. And I also have the little guide for you as well. So, all right. So this is just an example of one. If you could travel back in time to the time of Jesus, which story of his would you like to see and why? So there's some more serious ones, but there's some fun ones like this. So
Annie, Rose is wondering what the name of the cards that St. Mary's Press sells.
I don't know what cards you're talking about. The only thing I talked about St. Mary's Press was the Bible.
Right. I'm thinking maybe it's the other program that you mentioned. The name of the cards. Hey, Rose, if you elaborate on that, I will get back to Annie with that question for you.
Oh yeah, I take my questions. They didn't make the cards. Like I do use Loyola Press as our curriculum. And so I pull questions from there and type them up myself.
Okay, maybe that's what she meant. Rose will let us know and I'll get back to you if needed. Thank you, Annie.
No problem. All right. Another favorite thing of mine to do with my kiddos is question days. And these have just grown and grown and throughout the years. And for me, it just allows the kids to explore their faith more. And so I offer days, and they usually kind of come up naturally, in which kids can ask any questions they want about their faith. And I'm very open with them about not always knowing the answers and sometimes needing to look things up. And they can ask them out loud or they can write them down. And so it's just a really fun way for them to explore their faith and to ask questions. And sometimes they'll ask a question and I'll hop back to my computer and we'll look it up together and learn together if I'm not sure the answer. But these have become a favorite. I probably do them maybe once a month. And so, yeah, they just, and I will say, yeah, they normally will get like off topic because they're asking so many questions. And then I'll look at them and I'm like, all right, we'll finish today. And then tomorrow will be an all question day. And the next day we're back to curriculum. So, so that they know that, you know, they can bring in any questions that they have. All right. I did see how much, I'm just going to pop to the question before we go to the next one. How much of my instructional day do I spend on these activities? We have religion for like 25 to 35 minutes every day. And so for prayer partners, I do it once a week. Sometimes during Lent and Advent, I'll do it a little bit more depending on our schedule. But we kind of had set things on certain days. I'm going to get to our Friday activity next. But I try to keep these kind of extra activities, you know, just the first few minutes, because we do want to make it through what my school is asking me to get through. So, all right. The next thing is maybe one of my favorite things. And this is talking about guest speakers. And so you can choose topics from class that you're learning about. We bring speakers in every year during Catholic Schools Week. And I'll talk about that in a moment. It can be on campus or off campus. It can be parents or community members. And so there's a lot of different ways. Vocations Day is a big day that we bring in speakers at my school. And so we have a religious sister here talking to our third graders on Vocations Day during Catholic Schools Week. And an area that I love to bring people in is from our local high schools. So in Chicago, our Catholic grade school kids will often go to our Catholic high schools. And so I always reach out to people at our local high schools, Loyola, DePaul, Ignatius, and invite them in to have someone come in and speak. It's a great connection between our grade school and their high school. It's good PR for both, but I love just sharing resources with them and you know, bringing them into our school. And so here we have these are both my classrooms from different years, but Alex, who works with my husband, and I believe that's a priest friend of my sister's. We've had so many speakers, I don't even remember all of them. And so they both came in and talked to my kiddos. And we also have people from local organizations come in and outreach programs to talk to our students. These are some of our middle schoolers. We bring people in right from the parish. So our priests and deacons come in and talk to the students. This was a really cool one. This was an athletic director from our local high school that's very faith-filled, and it was a great connection for these kids. I'd say 2/3 of our kids go to his high school that he's at, and so a great connection between us and their school. So this is a group picture we took one year. And when doing this, I also encourage you to think back to people from, you know, previous things that you've done. Father McCarthy is in the picture here, over here, and he was my childhood priest who lives in the area still and works at 2 of the local high schools as their chaplain. And so he came in and it was great to reconnect with him and have him talk to our kids. So we also have sisters that come from the order that founded our school, and so they love coming back and seeing it as well. And there's one more person I'm going to talk about, which just happened this Catholic Schools Week. So you never know what's going to happen. I had asked my principal if I could invite the cardinal to come in and be part of Vocations Day. And she's like, yeah, it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Well, it happened. And Cardinal Supich came in on Vocations Day during Catholic Schools Week this past year. He's one of 6 active cardinals, I think, in the US right now. He's the Archbishop of Chicago. And let me tell you, this day was amazing and kind of it was awesome. And our kids got to ask him questions, and he shared his whole vocation story, and it was just a really powerful day. And I will tell you, if you have guest speakers, don't forget the swag, because I'm just waiting to see Subaj walk out of Holy Name Cathedral downtown in his St. Andrew hat and umbrella and hoodie there. So this was a really fun day that we had at our school. So I told my principal I'm aiming for the Pope next year, so we'll see how that one goes. And this is just another picture of my admin team and myself and Cardinal Subaj. So never dream too big. It was a great day. All right. So I'm going to give you all another moment to maybe brainstorm some ideas of guest speakers that you can bring into your school. If you want to throw those into the Q&A, I can shout them out. It doesn't have to be a specific name, but maybe a job or a role that might be good for bringing people in. So I'm going to mute for a moment and check on our Q&A and see if I can answer anything real quick. All right, go ahead, and if anyone has any guest speakers, or maybe it's someone that you've had in that you thought was really cool too. If you got the Pope, let me know how. All right. Well, I'll circle back if anyone puts anything in the Q&A there, but I will move on to tip number 9 next. All right, so student connections, and this is us pairing our older students with our younger students, and we do that through Mass Buddies, some call it our Faith Buddies, but we do faith activities. They sit together at Mass. We also pair ours as book buddies. So you can see here, before we go over to Mass, we go down, the 4th graders go down to 1st grade, and they read for 10-15 minutes with their 1st grade buddies before we head over to Mass. So they're with their same buddies all year. We do different activities, usually during Lent and Advent together. We also play bingo, because what Catholic school doesn't love a good game of bingo? And so just different ways for them to get to know each other. I know we had a student in 2nd grade this year that cried this year when her Mass buddy was graduating St. Andrew, because she was so sad she wasn't going to get to see her anymore. So it's amazing to see these relationships build over the years and how attached the kids get to each other. And I love that they will go out and cheer each other on also at sporting events, and see each other in the hallways and just wave hi to each other. So it's a great community builder as well. So highly recommend Mass Buddies or Faith Buddies if you guys don't do that at your school. We do ours for 3 grades. So our book buddies are only 2 grades. And then for us, our 7th graders come and join us at Mass. So there's a 1st grader, a 4th grader, and a 7th grader. So each grouping has 3 grades for our Mass buddies. And it also leaves them with someone if someone's absent. There's most likely going to be their other buddy there. So, all right, I'm going to check the Q&A real quick before. Oh, an alum who works with NASA, very cool. Workers of the parish, love that. Seminarians, that's a great suggestion, Gwen. Love that. Great suggestions. Thank you for sharing. All right, now, I have a few more pictures on this one. So these are some saint presentations that the older kids did with our younger kids, and so they're coloring some of the Saint stuff in there. This is what Math Buddies looks like for us. So you can see there's 3 different grade levels that are together. Here's some of the middle schoolers doing presentations for our kids. We do this during Catholic Schools Week, our big Saint presentations. Usually it's one of the students' patron saints that they chose for confirmation. All right. And the last thing I'm going to share with you today, and unfortunately, I don't think our videos, we tested them out and I don't think they're going to work, but is every single Friday without fail, we start with Dance Party Friday in my class. And it's not to the hip new songs, as I call them, it's to God songs. And so we listen to Cedar Mount Kids, our favorites. That should be Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. Awesome God, You Are My All in All. Rise Up and Praise Him. Blessed Be Your Name. And our newest one that we like doing is Victory Chant. But Lord, I Lift Your Name on High is probably the all-time favorite at my school. And so I'm going to just show you, I know the sound probably won't work, but at least you can maybe see the videos. And so this is just a picture of my kids. Every Friday we get up, we choose one song. I usually let them vote on what they want to do. So we'll give this a whirl. At least you can see them if you can't hear them. Okay, so I don't think you can hear that, but maybe you could see their excitement. But when you do this in your 4th grade classroom, you can get this. So again, you probably couldn't hear that, but you have the little 4th grade voices at the beginning, and then to the whole school. This was at a pep rally of over 400 kids singing Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, and every single one knew it, and they did the hand motions, and it was just a magical moment at my school. And so just the power of song, and maybe some different songs than what you play at Mass. I know Lord, I Lift Your Name on High is in our Gather book. So this one's a little bit faster paced than that, but it is a lot of fun in a great way. It puts everyone in a really happy mood on Friday mornings. Okay, so a few things that I mentioned, you'll get, if you use the bit.ly here, I have the picture books in the Bible with some suggestions for you. I have 8 prayer partner questions, the Catholic ABCs, print and cursive, and then the slides and the handout if you want to go back and work through the handout. But all the slides will be there. I have, in the slides that you're receiving, I have taken out all of my student pictures just for their own safety and whatnot. So yeah, all right. I said I would give you my email, and here it is. So if you want to connect, I'm at Adventures of a 4th Grade Classroom. That's where I post a lot of things that I do with my students. Or you can email me, Annie McGuire at gosaintandrew.com. We do spell out Saint at our school, so you can email me there if you have questions. And I have this in there, but I believe there's feedback from this one too. That was from the last one, but I believe that there will be feedback that you guys can give on this as well. So I will leave this one up for you for just a moment, and then I will turn it back over to Laura. If you have any further questions, feel free to just pop them in the Q&A and I can take a peek.
So Annie, I couldn't hear the video, but I saw this and I should have made the connection. My school, where I was last principal, used to sing that song as well. And the whole gym going like this, Lord, I lift our name on high,
Love it.
right?
I did a lot of that
Yeah,
by myself in the office here. I had, when we were fully virtual, I led prayer services from in here. And it was literally me singing in front of everyone at home on their cameras and dancing, but whatever works, right? So
our debt you pay went like this.
oh, I like that. I like that.
For all of you, there you go. I don't know why I just did that live with 65 people, but there you go. Checking here, you have a lot of thank yous there in the quick Q&A. If you have a question, Annie's still here, you can ask a question. I am going to share with you now this survey link. Please give us your feedback. Don't count Annie down for me suggesting that you're at a different class at the beginning. That's all on me. But you will receive a certificate of completion if you complete that survey. It's very, very brief. And again, we do share all of this information, and especially your comments, with our presenters during this summer webinar series. So they get your valuable feedback and return with your great advice. Our next session is More Math Workshop. It is next Wednesday, that's June 28th at 1 p.m. That's Eastern Time. Remember, if you register for these classes and you can attend live, you will receive the link later to share with others, and others can enjoy our classes after the fact. They will be available as well, and they can also get a certificate of completion even if they don't attend live. So please keep coming, share the word. We love having you. And Annie, thank you for all the great suggestions for classrooms. I think everyone probably will leave it with at least one more new idea, and that's good enough. Anything else? You have lots of thank yous there. Are all of these freebies in your membership? Okay. So also, Annie, if you want to share anything with me, I can share it with our team that sends out the link for the survey, and then they can get your information again if you'd like as well. So I can share this bit link. Is that okay? I'll share it with folks. Okay,
yep.
Perfect. So if you didn't get it now, you can still get it. You'll get it again when you get the certificate. So, well, thank you, everybody. It was nice seeing all of you. Thank you, Annie, and to all, have an amazing summer if we don't see you again at one of our classes, and a fabulous new school year.